log back in on the iPad because for the second meeting, it always does it. You guys already know that though. Okay, we're streaming. We are recording to the cloud. My phone says we're streaming anyways. And all right, we're good. Let's start with roll call. Councilman Curl.
Here.
Council President Schramm.
I don't even see a face.
Oh, like, wait a minute, I can't tell if she's here.
Oh, I heard something.
Okay. Councilman Benindetti.
Here.
Councilman Wolf.
Here.
Councilman Bruger.
Here.
And Councilman McNamara.
Here.
All right. Code enforcement officers report for May. You guys can have the next 45 minutes to review it since there is like a million.
Join the meeting.
And no, I'm really kidding. As you can see, we have somebody
There's
that
a lot
is
more stuff on there.
Yeah, I mean, first off, a couple things that you guys don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and point it out. If you see this lovely little Village of Minerva Park, you know, it looks like all professional and everything. We did I think it was $600. Don't quote me on that. I can get you exactly how much it was, but this is a program. It's a yearly fee. I think it's a yearly fee. Maybe it's not even yearly. I'm not sure exactly. I should know that, but I don't know it off the top of my head. But this is for the program, definitely for a year that is user-friendly. I can actually go into it, believe that or not. I can go into it, and if there's a complaint, I can actually log into it. It's an app that goes on your phone. I can look and see if there's already been a violation, if there's been anything done. I can actually go in and see where it is in the process. So, you know, it's great because I can log into it, Becky can log into it, Leah could log into it, whoever could log into it and find out exactly what is going on in a particular situation. So, and not that I would really need to or anybody would need to, because as you can see, he's pretty on it. But I mean, I guess if he got sick for a week or something like that, we would have the capability to be able to follow up, follow through. So again,
you plan to be the enforcer of the enforcer?
I'm just going to be honest. He needs no help from me. I definitely, you know, everybody knows that I walk through here and, you know, I've sent him messages, and it was actually funny because his first actual day, I had already sent him a couple that had been in process that I'd been watching. And, I got in there, you know, 10 o'clock or whatever. And he'd already, first off, he has a new, he does this a different way. He doesn't mail letters and they get there 3 days from now. Oh no, he has this form that he just fills out. He puts their name in high grass, checks a box. It's a carbonated copy. He rips off the top. He goes and sticks it to their front door instantly. And he comes back and he, you know, most of the stuff he can do from the app on his phone, and he logs it exactly the way that it's working. So this is like so 2020, it's not even funny. So it is like the coolest thing ever, because I feel like it's just something that we've been missing. And if you're not aware, we get complaints, not just for grass, but inoperable vehicles and, you know, fencing and different things like that a lot, way more than I ever dreamed that we did. And yes, we do have like 4 additional code enforcement officers that are not on our payroll that do a very good job. But, you know, they all work together and they send him updated lists, and, you know, and I will be the first to admit he probably already has it done. I do not need to tell him where to go and what to do, but I do forward things to him. So as you guys can see the report, he has a lot. So if anybody has any questions.
How's he doing on compliance?
Pretty well. I mean, in all honesty, pretty well. There's a couple that he has cited. You have to remember he's been here, and I don't quote me on this, but around, when did we hire him? I'm going to go with, it looks like about the 12th or 13th, because that's when most of these start. So what are we at? About 3 weeks. I will definitely say there was a couple on that first round that he has already reposted notes back on there. And if you guys are aware of the high grass ordinance, I was one to give him, a warning and, that just be nice up front. It's the beginning of the season. But it's not fair for us to allow it to continue. So we will be starting violations. We have a couple right now that we will be moving forward with. Because again, I can be as nice as I want to be, but I don't have to live next to it. So I'm not. I mean, as far as that goes, I can't, I wouldn't want to live next to it. If there's the person next to me has 18 inches of grass, it brings bugs and animals and all kinds of stuff. No thanks. And again, we're not talking about the person that's in a bad situation. They can call in. We would be more than happy to talk to them. We would be more than happy to work with them, as everybody's fully aware. We are not trying to lay the hammer on people that are, medical illness or something like that. We are still that village. We are here to help. But if we're just not cutting our grass because I'm just going to say it, lazy, we're not going to tolerate it. It's something that I don't want my next door neighbor to do it. They don't. And I wouldn't want to have to live next to it. So, and we do have people that are sending pictures weekly. So
Well-
again, it's not right.
So in the 3 weeks that he's been here, then you could hardly expect compliance. But I'm trying to remember a couple of meetings ago, we went over the waiting period. And didn't we decide 2 weeks?
No, for high grass, I'm going to be honest with you. For high grass, he gave people, I don't even know that it's listed in our ordinance. He gave people a couple days. But again, we had a couple phone calls that basically said, this is the situation, and we make a note of it in the lovely little app that we have. We figure out exactly what the issue or problem is. Some, again, we're on our second citation. He gives them 24 hours.
Well,
So
nobody could have an excuse for not mowing. What, are they
not
gonna
when
say they
it's
don't have a
week
mower?
after
Yeah.
week.
Well,
Well,
there's lots of excuses you can have for not mowing.
Right. I mean, there are deaths in the family. There are illnesses. There are, elderly people that have been put in the hospital. You don't know the situation until, we've gotten a couple phone calls. Again, there were some that are legit. And if it boils,
Well, I think
we have had residents go cut the grass when they see a fine on the thing. I mean, that's the type of village I feel like we live in. There's
the
a
house,
difference,
right?
again, between
The house-
helping and knowing that your neighbor's just being lazy. So that's where we're at. I'm not going to go any further on that. I think we all know that, unfortunately, none of us, I don't love to cut my grass, but I do it. I'm too cheap to pay somebody, being honest. So it just is what it is. I mean, I have 2 kids, but it's easier for me just to go do it than to argue with them. So, I mean, we all take the extra time to go do it, and we expect our neighbors to do the same. But it's not just that. I mean, again, if you look through here, there are a couple other ones with inoperable vehicles and things like that. So point being, he's on it. He has definitely had some high praises from some residents. And, again, if you're watching this and you do have a situation that is difficult to get it done, there's some people in the new development that their yards are just horrific because unfortunately it didn't make it over the winter or whatever. We're trying to work with those people. There's a couple that are working really hard to get it back. It doesn't look great yet, but you can tell they're trying.
We
We're
have
not-
hoarders. We have hoarders in the new section.
No, high grass, or not high grass, dead grass.
Okay,
Dead grass.
sorry.
And again, most of those people are trying. So we're not trying to be difficult. So if anybody has anything on that, let me know. Other than that, you guys can feel free to read that tonight before you go to bed.
I'm not sure if
So-
any other members of council have had a chance to meet this gentleman, but I ran into him about a week and a half ago, and he seems like a real solid dude. He seems to be on the up and up. I
Well,
think we
he
gotta
was,
get that.
he was our code enforcement officer for a short period before. You may not know. So I know him too.
What would I do without you guys bringing me up to speed?
We haven't even started
You
yet.
got left out. You didn't realize that. I'm sorry.
We haven't started on that one yet.
All right, let's go ahead and go to does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Go for it.
5444 Cleveland Avenue, diverting water courses. Is that the whole Yasmin Market
Yes.
situation?
I can
okay.
only, yes, I don't even need to look.
That's-
That's the only one
that's-
I'm aware of.
That's all I was curious about.
Yep. And then, so we'll go to village official reports. And if you guys want to start with Chief Rick, EMS.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You should
You should have my report. It was included in the reports.
Hang on.
And-
Rick, I'm gonna mute that other one again, so give me 2
Thank you.
seconds.
Thank you.
Go for it.
Okay, thank you. My report should have been included with the materials you have, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about that. We are continuing with the current process. We're responding to Westville runs, and as I announced in the safety committee meeting, I have asked for an appointment with the new fire chief because the old one that basically got rid of us has left. And so the new one, who by many accounts is a very good guy and pretty much in the vein of the fire chiefs that preceded the one that caused all the problems, he's now in place. And so I've asked for a meeting with him, and we'll see if we can't just lay this whole deal with Columbus aside. But as Brian, I don't want to steal Brian's thunder, that it's part of a parallel track. I'll let Brian fill in the rest of the details there.
Perfect. Does anybody have any questions for Rick? Nope. Okay.
Good to hear.
Chief Delp, police, and you're on mute.
All right, there we go. Sorry about that.
There you go.
Did someone have a question for Chief Hochstetter? Because I thought someone spoke up there just before we switched.
No, I think David said something else.
Okay. So everyone should have gotten copies of my report. Again, I switched from that chart that I used to supply, and instead of included the incident reports. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer any time. Other thing, just so everyone is aware, Minerva Park has been responding to the request for mutual aid from the Columbus Police Department. Basically, that resulted in us working traffic control points outside the downtown protests, and that freed up Columbus police officers to do what they were doing. And then we're also responding to speed complaints on Farview, and just today got some on Maplewood. So other than that, doing what we do.
Chief Delp, did the aid and assistance that we're giving Columbus, did that involve any extra or overtime hours for our force?
It did, yes.
And I'm not making a judgment on this, just wanting to know, does that then just come out of our budget? Does Columbus help with some of that, or how does that work?
So at this time, it looks like because Columbus declared a state of emergency, they'll be open up to getting some grant funds or reimbursement from the feds, and any disbursements of that we could lay claim to. So if we get it, it'd probably be either late this year or early next year because the process is kind of slow. But there is a chance of reimbursement for the overtime hours.
Awesome, thanks.
Maybe we bring this up when we're negotiating our fire contract. You know, we're helping out every way we can.
Ooh, you're going to pit the fire department against the police?
Well, I'm just saying, we're helping Columbus out, you know.
Well, yeah.
They're unrelated.
Well, I know. I'm
All right.
done.
Does
They get
anybody
into
have any
a little
questions though?
competition sometimes with each other.
Does anybody have any additional questions for Chief? I think Diane.
Yeah, I just wondered, I didn't know who, Tiffany had reported, the mayor had reported that the police were called to basketball court. I just wondered if that was our police or if that was mutual aid, just another area.
Oh, that was us.
Okay.
The basketball court is in the village. We just don't own the property at this time. So,
Right.
but if what we actually responded to was on the street, and by the time our officers arrived, everyone had kind of fled the area. So, but looks like somebody took steps to eliminate the problem for now, because I see that the hoops are down, so.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry.
could we have a little more detail on that if you don't mind, Chief?
I was
Not
going to give
just
that
that.
in my mayor's report.
I could hear them from my house. I could hear this thing going on over there. It was, sounded like, 10,000 people at a football game, but how many people were there? Somebody said
So-
like people.
So what I heard was there was about 40 people. But the issue is that everything is closed, and that place was open, and it looks like word went around because people were there and they got on their phones and said, hey, this place is open, everybody come here. And
Okay.
it looks like that's what happened. So like I said, it
This
seems
is a corona-related incident.
like that the problem has resolved itself as the hoops are gone. And I believe that once the other area courts open up, we'll have less traffic at ours.
Well, who takes the hoops up and down? Is somebody in charge of that thing?
Yeah, we have a maintenance guy that does that.
Well, who tells him whether to put them up or down?
State code, the basketball courts are closed per the state. So we actually reached out to MI because we have signs on the basketball court stating that the basketball court is closed. The
Okay.
basketball court, they ignored the signs. And, after getting, it kind of started with 10 or 12 people, and then every night it kind of got bigger and bigger and bigger. So by Saturday night, there were reports of 30, 40, 50 people. And then Sunday night was the same thing. So
Well,
I had Eric
I
reach
read
out to
there
MI.
was- Oh, I'm sorry.
I had Eric reach out to MI Homes to get permission to take, because we do not own the basketball court yet. So I asked Eric to get permission to go ahead and remove those, because again, we do get a lot of calls that there's a large group of people gathering, and because of COVID, Eric reached out to MI said, yes, take them down. We went over after they left, and we took them down, and that's the end of the story. We took them down. We have all intentions of putting them back. Whether or not we do wait a few extra days, that remains to be seen, because it does look like MI just is seeding over there. I don't know if anybody's been over there. I don't think they're laying sod. It's actually being seeded right now, because it was
Yeah,
all ready to go.
Yeah, they seeded like a week
People are
ago.
trampling it.
So it might be wise just to let it go for a couple days to get some of that moving along. While we've got it closed, maybe we'll just leave it closed for an extra week and see if we can get some more popping up through there, so we get all the grass instead of everybody trampling on it. Because if we do have 50 people trampling in and out of there, then it's going to kill it again.
Is there
so
any
that's-
long-range thinking on the basketball court if it becomes a magnet for trouble? I heard there was a physical assault there yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was.
A basketball court is going to be, what some people would refer to as a rough sport. So, I mean, it's going to,
I'd like to
Be
think
rough.
that's part of an overall green space plan.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, at this point in time, I think it's going to be up to us to make any rules. It is in a residential area. It is a park that is adjacent to a lot of little kids. So yeah, I mean, it would be nice to set some rules. I can't promise that, we're gonna, every time somebody says a 4-letter word, that we can send the police department over there. But it would be nice to have some rules. At this point in time, there is not any established rules laying. Again, I can't promise that the kids are gonna read the rules. The rules are it's closed and nobody's reading those rules. And actually I talked to a couple kids that argued with me whether or not it was actually closed or not. And his little comment to me was, it's not closed, the rims are up. So I said, okay, well, the rims are coming down. I'm just teasing.
Why
So
is there always resistance to the idea that you limit it to residents and their guests?
as of right now, it's public. Here's my view on a basketball court. This is my view. Everybody can argue with me if I'm wrong, but if my son goes over there and takes 3 of his friends, they're probably not residents. So,
Right.
I mean, if there's one resident on the
But
court
their
and there's
guest
20
is a
kids,
resident who's present with them.
well,
there.
again, if there was
on a private
one
club,
kid,
though.
I can confirm that there was at least one resident there. So, for all I know, well, actually I do, but you know, they send out a Snapchat and they tell all their friends to come, they're all there. So that's kind of how those things work. But I mean, at this point, you know, Matt, Chief and all of the officers handled it very well. Anytime they get a call, they do respond to it. As of right now, the hoops are down because of COVID. They are, again, we do not own the basketball court, but the plan is, again, this is MI's. We will, you know, we'll work with them, but odds are it's going to go back up very shortly, because we're not trying to stop kids from playing, getting outside and doing all of that type of thing. And as Chief said, I completely agree with him. I think once some of these other things do start opening back up, you know, you won't have as big of a crowd. Maybe we will, maybe we won't, maybe it's going to have to be revisited, but that's something that, you know, council can take up, or planning and zoning, or wherever we end it, you know, wherever it ends back up. If we want to try to establish some rules, that's something we can do. I
think we
mean,
need to put that, I really think that needs to be on somebody's
I do too.
table.
I mean, I think there needs to be rules established. You know, I think people, you know, I've heard pros and cons about putting an actual fence. I know this isn't something MI is going to do, but we had talked about putting a chain link fence around it, like one of the green ones or whatever. Maybe that would keep some of the noise inside of there. Just throwing things around. I think we can spin this around for the next 2 hours, but I think basically what Chief said was they handled it. The rims are off. Situation's done at this point. We'll be in, you know, any recommendations you guys have, feel free to send them to me. Residents have been sending some different things to me. We do want our kids to be able to play on it. And I think, you know, with what was going on the last few days, it's, you know, you wouldn't have been able to take small children over there. So not with the 4-letter words that were coming out. So
Well, it's pretty common to have a fence surrounding, for example, tennis courts always have a fence surrounding them on a lockable gate.
I think it's something we need to talk about. It's obviously going to cost a couple dollars to do it, but I think it would be a great idea to, you know, if, like Tony said, somebody's got to take it up, but I don't think in tonight's meeting's the best place
Well, I
to take
think
it up.
we'll-
We do need some resolution coming up, I would assume.
We'll get to it in planning and zoning. Wait for my report. Maybe I'll throw that.
Works for me?
Yeah.
Works for me. Okay. So Chief, did you have anything else?
No, I would just kind of point out that I think that there's also going to be a learning curve involved with that basketball court. And as we move forward, as they find the troublemakers avoid the police, and as they find that the police actually respond here, as opposed to other jurisdictions that may be slow to respond to a disturbance on a basketball court, they'll probably find other places to go where they can play street ball.
Agreed. Agreed. All right. Okay. Next is Mike Flickinger's report. And I promise I have that report in my stack of papers. Okay. Instead of you guys sitting through, and I know Mike listens to this, 2 hours of Mike's report, I'm going to put it down in about 4 minutes. So sanitary sewer improvement project. This project is currently out for bids. This is the project that had stopped due to our funding. So as of right now, it advertised on May 28th, June 6th. Final advertisement is June 11th. Bids are due by noon on June 19th. 3 contractors have downloaded the bidding documents, and we expect at least 1 more contractor to download the documents. He sent me the actual project schedule. I have all of that. I'd be more than happy to forward this document to everybody on council, but he did just send it to me today. Westerville City School District review. They delivered the final version of the traffic impact study memo, which had no changes from the original version, which we had kind of went over in planning and zoning. They've been coordinating with the school's design professionals on the school proposed sanitary sewer service. They expect the design professionals to submit their stormwater management plan within the next 2 weeks, pending their coordination with the village on fees. So Westerville City Schools moving right along. They are still working together to make sure that the sanitary sewer, obviously we do not need any issues with that, and Mike's handling all that. And then we have the storm sewer improvement project. I do not have an update yet for confirmation on the tax commissioner's approval on the fund transfer yet. And I don't know, Jesse, if you'd heard anything about that, but I know as of earlier today, we have not heard anything from the tax commissioner's approval. So just a real quick thing on that. We expect to deliver the final advertisement on June 11th for, we're scheduled to deliver the final advertisement. Yeah, we're going to advertise it on 12th. Or have it to the Daily Reporter June 12th. The project is scheduled to advertise June 18th, June 25th, and July 2nd. Bids are scheduled to be in-house by noon on July 10th. The final project schedule, again, he did email to me. Depending on the bid results, if the same contractor is awarded both contracts, meaning the sanitary sewer and the storm sewer, maybe we could do some coordination to award them both contracts, and there might be some benefits to that, as well as having some emergency legislation, special meetings, and all of that, if we could actually get it done in the same time frame and it would benefit us. So those are just some little thoughts. Whether or not it happens or not, that's remains to be seen. So as you can see, both the sanitary and the storm sewer, per your guys's move forward, are moving forward. We have been in coordination with Flowline for the storm sewer CCTV for the Yasmin International Market area. We were expecting to get a tentative schedule today. I did not get that update as of today, but we are working on that. And they are also continuing to work on the utility surcharge. The utility surcharge is where we're trying to move funds from. When we pay our water bill, there's different funds that support our storm sewer, sanitary sewer, and or water. Right now, we don't have anything going into our storm sewer, so we're trying to reallocate that, if everybody remembers all of this. We're having a little bit of a, one of our goals was to make sure that it didn't increase our residents. When we go to redo this, the figures are different. So we're trying to make this as close to what we're currently paying. So that actually does make our large buildings and places with large parking lots, their bills would increase significantly. So they're working on a way to actually address that situation. So there's a little bit of a tiny issue trying to make that happen. So if we do it to where it supports all of the residents, not being an increase, then it does affect them. So he's working on something. We don't know if it's going to work. So businesses may get charged more for their surcharge. And I don't know when he says significantly more, but it sounds like he says the increase would be significant. So I don't know exactly what significant means in his world. So that is Mike Flickinger's report in 4 minutes. Anybody have any questions?
That means big.
Well, I know that, but I don't know if we're talking $25 or $125 or $500. So
I'm just trying to
right,
lighten it up a little.
And just as an FYI, we are trying to, and maybe I'm not there yet. I'll get to the other one. Okay, I'm done. Anybody? Okay. See, I have all these papers. I am so not together on this. Okay, hang on.
That was the engineer's report where you were.
That was well, I know, but now I lost my agenda. You know why? Because I have the printer set on front and back, so I've got to go through front and back of all these to figure out where it's at. I'm trying to save paper. I'm trying to be a good person, but there it is. Okay. Engineer's report. Fiscal officer. I do not have either one of them with us right now. They're both tied up. Let's see what I can tell you. Payrolls tomorrow. Everything's been going great. No issues. We don't have any issues with our payroll at this point in time. We did get our end of month done, obviously well on time. Everybody got those reports recently. We have not scheduled the new finance meeting. So if you guys want to Diane, if you just want to send over like 2 or 3, you guys kind of coordinate what day and time works for you, and maybe just 2 or 3 options. And then I'll give those to Kim and Leah and see which one works. That way you guys can kind of get moving on getting them some ideas, because they're usually they try to be pretty flexible. I did ask them to get me an update on the pool for next Monday's meeting, just so you guys can kind of get an idea of where we're at and where we're headed with that. But other than that, that's fiscal. We have nothing crazy going on at this point. Everything's moving right along. Tax budget meeting is next week. And I do believe we did determine that we can do that via Zoom. So I will send out all of those links as well. So we should be good on that. Next we have legal counsel, and you are not Jean, but we have Jesse.
Hi, nice to see everyone that I haven't met before. My name's Jesse. I work with Jean. but I don't believe I have anything to report this evening.
Perfect. Anybody have any questions for Jesse? Even better. We love those. Okay. Planning and zoning, Tony.
Nothing to report because we haven't had a meeting. So,
Perfect. And
all
it's
I can say, well,
actually,
from a planning and zoning standpoint, I will, we were talking about the basketball courts, and I want to try to, push the green space planning to the top of the list. So, I guess, but the only thing I had to report about planning and zoning at this point.
and now that they have grass and stuff getting ready to be put in, I think it now would be a great time to start talking about that area. Because I think that, if we get to have that block party this year over in that area, it'd be nice to have some things done. It'd be great.
Yeah, we need to get a picnic table as well.
Yes.
Miss
Well,
Councilman Bruger.
I hear those can bring ants into the area, and I don't know if we want ants outside our houses.
It could be a problem.
Are you sticking with that story?
I'm not in disagreement. All right, Eric, village planner.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Just to follow up to my discussion on Saturday with everyone, going to work on legislation changes for sidewalks as well as permitting as discussed to get to legislative committee this month. There was something else, but everything's moving along smoothly. MI is moving towards closure here. I think their last house officially, they've projected to be October 1st, but I expect we'll start having serious discussions here come July about conveyances in that area, since we're talking about how that area is going to turn over to green space. That's all I have. Thank you.
I think last meeting or some point I asked to see the punch list for what we'd come up with, we'd like them to fix in the new development.
Yeah, and if anyone has any suggestions, it's fine, but we're not to the punch list point yet. So
I thought you had said you had something that you were working on.
We will have things to present when the time comes. We're not there yet with them. They're actually still working on things to wrap up, and when we get closer to the conveyance, there'll be a much more complete list for everyone to see and discuss. We're not there yet.
Well, I get what I'm trying to understand is that I thought the last time we talked about it, there's a list, and I know that they're not there to the time of fixing everything. I'm just trying to figure out what's on the list. Is nothing on the list right now? Is there?
There's a number of items that they're working through to get done. For example, recently, obviously from damage from the storms and water, there was a number of items to handle regarding the golf cart bridges that are now pedestrian pathways that they had to fix. That's one example. There's obviously a cone still on the roadway, and they are still scheduling out how
they all that. I just want to know if there's
all those things are going to be on a list, and we're still a good month away from that.
What's your input, Eric, on the basketball court?
So, if I may, the basketball court will be conveyed to us, and it will be a public park. And at that time, it will obviously be in charge of it, and council can start making determinations of how they want to present it. I will simply say that many municipalities have had experiences managing public rec areas. You don't have a skate park, which in my opinion, experience is perhaps the most problematic one and requires the most work and money to get under some semblance of control, but people love it. Basketball courts, you don't have 20 of them, you've got one, so it's going to potentially be popular, and the village may, through administration or council or both, can implement rule sets. And if the council so likes, we'd be more than happy to show you different examples of how rules are made and posted in different municipalities from their parks and rec programs regarding usage of outdoor basketball facilities. Good starting point.
Oh, thank you for that.
Welcome, sir.
Okay, Eric, the only thing I had for you was to thank you because I saw that those got fixed today. So thank you.
Welcome.
And then the only other random thing, and I don't want to get on this topic, so I'm just going to quickly ask it. The detention ponds, retention ponds, I always say it wrong. Doesn't matter which way I say it. I feel like it's always wrong. Obviously those have a lot of like algae or whatever it is. They're not pretty. So everybody knows that that's how, I don't know what it is. Is there anything that we can do, they can do? Is this just going to be normal? Is this, and this is where council's probably looking at me like I've lost my mind, but I walk past there and all I think of is, ew.
So this
Thoughts?
kind of, if I may, this gets back to the kind of two-prong approach. Obviously, there was some discussion a year plus ago when we had the landscape planner talk to us in general about how we would plan around these ponds, because in a couple cases, in her professional opinion, they were too shallow, and there are ways to implement plantings, especially around the edges, that aren't trees. And again, trees are the most expensive implements of any of these green spaces, but we can go back and obviously plan out what plantings you need from a natural standpoint that'll help that. There's obviously any number of ways, and I would use aqueducts now, I think, and you can talk to them about how they would treat. Obviously, you've seen the way different ponds and detention and retention basins get, handled around the Columbus area. Sometimes they pour a lot of that copper solution in them, turns them real nice and blue, but don't think that's exactly good for some of the wildlife. And I know, we kind of want to find a nice balance of getting rid of the goo, as you call it, and then finding a way to both naturally and perhaps treat it to get to a point, and then at that point let more natural ecosystems perhaps take over. And this is obviously an ongoing discussion with your existing giant lake as well. But these ponds have to get attention at some point, otherwise they'll be more goo than there will be good plantings. Because MI, as a developer, simply is going to put the grass. Geese are going to use it for the restroom, and they transfer a lot of nastiness, and there's things that aren't good right there. But we can probably make it a little better through implementing a number of different plan sets that I think, long term, and we're talking multiple years, we'll get it under control to where it's aesthetically pleasing as well as naturally good for the environment.
Yeah, and environmental reclamation is sadly not an overnight process.
Correct.
Well, this sounds like a perfect time for me to untable my lakes resolution.
Yeah, it's
Perfect.
Yeah, okay, but we're talking about the ponds right now, the retention ponds.
Right.
But is it, so as I recall from our meeting with MI, they don't intend to do anything about the goo or anything like that unless we ask them to. Is that?
I think they will keep the ponds, handled to a certain point, but even their own maintenance has certain effects, right? So they've got fescue grass around the ponds, right? Well, when they cut it, that's debris that gets back into the ponds, right? And it generates its own, biological breakdown, around the ponds. And then you've got, the wildlife and the fowl, the geese coming in, that adds to it. And so you have probably, again, this is not my specialty area, but again, I would simply guess that in this case, you've got a lot of unpleasant bacteria growing in your ponds that, you need to manage through a number of means. And I would say aqueducts is a man-made means of managing. And then I think long-term planning, as Councilman McNamara has stated, is a longer-term process that we can also implement and cost less over time too. So
Right. But that's true. The long-term is our issue. And I know there've been a lot of planting is an excellent idea, but on the short-term end, and we do it wrong too. We just put more chemicals on, but we put chemicals on, it makes people feel better, and the goo goes away for a while. So if we ask MI to put chemical on it, like Aqueduct or whoever they want to use, will they do that while they're in charge of those ponds?
yes. So here's my 2 cents on this. So I think they also use, I'll find out who the contractor is. I thought it was also Aqueducts, but I'll find out. I think if you ask MI to do it, they're simply going to tell Aqueducts to do a certain way. But I think if we ask Aqueducts for their opinion on a couple different options and MI's using them, and, we can obviously talk about that, but perhaps they'll use a less, especially as we're taking it over only in a few more months. I don't know if you want I have a feeling that they're just going to throw some chemical in there, and it might be a more harsher solution than if perhaps we managed it a little more directly, is what I'm suggesting. So I can inquire and I can get some answers back. Okay. I don't have anything else. If anyone has any questions, I'm here.
Okay. Thank you. All right, MPCA. Wine and cheese party at the pool is on for Saturday, June 13th, in a modified format. I do not have all of the details, but I can tell you that we're working on a couple different, I'm actually trying to help this much. It's from 8 to 11 p.m. So as soon as the pool closes, I don't want to say what I'm trying to help with in case it doesn't happen, but I have a feeling it's going to be, I'm sure they'll be posting, but I have a feeling it's bring your own wine. We're not sharing glasses. We're not sharing anything. and I have a feeling cheese is really not going to happen and they're really not doing anything. I think the only way that they would probably do that is if it was being served by somebody. I don't know if Mark has any more detail on any of that. I had talked to Jean on a couple days ago, and she had asked, my thoughts and this and that. And I said, well, the pool's open. I don't really know the difference if we keep everybody social distance. We've got quite a few tables. And then limit it. I mean, again, we've been limiting it. I don't think we've ever had we wouldn't do what we normally do, like right there on the patio. I mean, I think the tables would all be spread out. So, and then maybe what we could do is, if they need some additional tables, I would be more than happy to help try to, coordinate that with them. So just as an FYI, I don't want to take too much of the time on this. Family Fun Night. Family Fun Night will also be happening in a modified format. The tentative date is July 18th from 6 to 9 p.m. Again, I am not going to give anything away because I don't know if she's going to do some of the things that her and I had talked about, but I just, her and I just kind of threw a couple things back and forth as to how can we make this happen. Obviously, you're not going to have ice cream in the way that you guys normally do it. But, my thought was, why can't we just have an ice cream truck, or why can't we do this, or why can't we do this? So, it would still be nice to be able to coordinate a family fun night that would work in a completely modified format. It's not going to look the same, but, just getting people's families out at the pool has been great, watching people. So, there's still plenty of time to cancel it, but at this point, if there's any way that I can help them with this, or I don't know if anybody else is willing to help them make this happen, by all means, let Jean know that you guys would be willing to help, but I'm willing to help them do whatever, just to try again to anything that we can do in the village. I can't tell you how many thank yous we've gotten in the last couple of days, just from having an hour of normalcy, an hour of feeling of normalcy at the pool. So the welcome team.
We all got this one right about opening the pool, huh?
Yes. So far, I am not jinxing myself. And actually our legal team is probably happy I'm not going to jinx myself on this. So the welcome team should be resuming welcome bag deliveries soon. So hopefully that is coming to some of the people that haven't seen it. And in the next few months, they will be working on a new format for the newsletter and updating the website. And again, her and I did talk a little bit about the newsletter. Nothing to specifically announce yet. We're looking into a couple different avenues and seeing what may work and what may not to potentially join back, maybe not join back. Again, we're just looking at some options. So that is MPCA's report. Next, anybody have any questions for me? Because I can't answer any of them. Great. My mayor's report. Oh man, again, we already talked about the basketball court. Again, we want to open as soon as possible. I had Russell trees out last week. They are looking at some trees on Lakewood and Lakeland. I had someone call me. They were led to believe that there was a certain tree that was going to be removed last year. Russell trees came out. Somebody had marked the tree as if it was going to be removed, and nothing happened to it. And now it's even worse. So I sent Russell trees out. I do not have the estimate. I'm waiting for the price, and then we will determine where to go from here. But there's actually a couple trees over in that Lakewood, Lakeland area. I do want to just say thank you to a couple people. Barb Sutton helped me with the Sign Up Genius, which was a huge help just because everybody knew I was stressing about how to make that happen when I was on vacation last week. So she helped me figure out an inexpensive way to do it, just so everybody knows. The one that, we had looked at there was a couple of them, $600 to $1,000. We only needed it for 3 months. So this Sign Up Genius is free. So it's wonderful. John has been a tremendous help over there at the pool. He has that thing down, and this is his 40th year over there. So, that's just absolutely amazing. And then of course, thank you to Tony for helping fix the crack and everything that he has done over at the pool. He spent quite a few hours over there, and without Tony, this pool would not be open right now. I don't know if anybody really does realize that, but we were basically told at least 3 weeks to have the bottom of the pool fixed, and knock on wood, again, it's Tony, it's working. So, but Tony and Brian both have been over there. Between installing plexiglass, fixing the bottom of the floor, painting the bottom of the floor, moving things around, and all of the lifeguards have been just amazing. It was not done by one person, that's for sure. For the pool memberships, just real quick, only because I'm so happy about this, I can't even see straight. We're at 76 pool memberships already, and we did over $500 in one day yesterday. So if my math
Today,
suits me
too.
well, we did very well. We are on pace to only lose what we normally lose. So anyways, I mean, if it ends up being better, great. But I mean, right now, if we continue on that pace, we actually wouldn't lose money. That is unrealistic to think that that's going to happen. So, at this point, I'm just ecstatic and for the record, we only had 83 memberships last year. So we're at 76 in 2 days, 3 days. So, and I know that there's plenty of people, including myself, that's not in that list yet. And I do plan on doing one, even if I don't go, just to support the pool. So, and actually I've been there every day, but I haven't gotten to go in yet. So that's that. I have 3 taco trucks. I have 3 food trucks scheduled June 13th, June 19th, July 1st. They're on the Facebook page. Angry Wiener is June 13th. June 19th is Mikey's Late Night Slice, and July 1st is a cheesy truck. I do have a couple other ones I'm working on. And just so you guys know, one of the other things that I have been working on is trying to do like a carnival type day, like 3 or 4 food trucks at once. That's more of like corn dogs, French fries, funnel cake, something like that. More of like, again, just a little bit of summer in one day. So if anybody has any ideas or anybody wants to help, again, feel free. All I do is sit on the phone and try to schedule food trucks and play at the pool. So that is my mayor's report. So let's move. Does anybody have any questions for me? I guess I could tell you a lot more. MKSK was out at the pool 3 weeks ago. So that is moving along. And that is the people that are doing, the architect that's doing the baby pool. So I don't have any updates on that other than the fact that they've been out, they measured, they did their thing. And I probably have more stuff like that, but let's just call it a day. Council committee reports. Let's start with community. David McNamara.
All right, Madam Mayor, members of the council and community. I am here to address the fact that the walk with the state forester has been completed. To all who did not know that, I believe I sent everybody on council at least some information on his summary of findings, and hopefully we'll get a plan out, or a plan hammered out of that. Let's see. We have the lake cleanup, which will be occurring from 8 to noon on Saturday the 13th. I posted on the Minerva Park page and got a fair number of positive responses, so we may actually get some decent numbers out there. I suspect we'll need to get some, cases of water. Like I'd say 2 would probably be a good one. If I don't know how we go about procuring that, but
Costco, they're $2.99 for.
You go to the
48,
store and put it in your trunk.
I just didn't know. Like I'll get them. That's
how
fine.
you do it, David.
If I go to Costco in the next 2 days, I'll grab them at $6. So I don't think I need reimbursed for 2 things of water. So
regardless, we'll reimburse you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if everybody wants to decide, if somebody else has a Costco and they want to go get 2 cases of water, more power to them. But if not, I will commit to doing it before Saturday.
I will reimburse you $6 the next time we meet.
Okay.
And I think they're $2.48, just so you know.
Well, consider it gas money then. So I'm not sure where this pertain. I guess this would probably pertain to community, but everybody had a chance to read, everybody on council had a chance to read the resolution / proposed mayor's declaration. So whatever the next step with that hopefully would be, is I'd love to see that moved with in the appropriate manner. But besides those 2 items, that is what we got for the time being, and I will be happy. I look forward to reporting the results of our lake cleanup.
Awesome. Does anybody have any questions? Questions? All right. Finance, Diane.
Okay. We haven't had, we need to schedule a finance meeting and we have not yet done so. We did just get the financial reports for May, and they look very good. So I I will try to get that scheduled and we can get caught up with Kim. And I am regarding under the finance committee, we also have, Eric didn't mention the facility scoring that we're going to be doing. So that is out there. We're waiting for the score sheet, and I'm waiting for a draft of the score sheet that's being proposed so we could finalize it. So that's a finance committee's special project, is the facility dilemma. And I think the only other thing I had a concern with, I sat in on the safety meeting listening, and I know that Chief Hofstetter is going to be trying to contact the chief of the interim chief of Columbus and propose that schedule. And I just don't remember that we ever had a budget numbers for that. So if the City of Columbus said yes, I'm not sure that from a financial point of view that we actually budgeted what that would look like. So.
Well, you're talking about like the EMS having to increase the number of hours that
Correct.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's something we can approach in the finance meeting, but I was just, I didn't remember that we had actually put that on paper.
Oh yeah, that would make our number go up.
Well, of course it would, and but how much? And you don't want to have the Columbus say yes, and then have the village turn around and say, yeah, but we can't afford what you proposed. So I just wanted to close that loop.
Diane, if you can remind, I'm sure I'll remember, but maybe that's one of the things we can focus on in the finance committee. We can get Kim to kind of give us an idea, because it would be nice to see. I know it's hard to do it with the numbers that we're at right now, but when we were at X percent and we were actually getting paid for the runs that we were on, because if we increase the hours, we should be increasing the runs, and assuming we're back on Columbus, we should be bringing in more money as well. So it would be nice for Kim to kind of give us, if we increased our runs, if we increased our hours, what would it look like? Because I agree with you. I think, needing to know what it's going to cost us for an additional 20% of the time or something like that, what does that look like? But we do have to look at the bigger picture. What does it look like coming in and going out?
Right.
So and I know it's hard right now because we're only doing Westerville runs. So, but I think if she went back a little bit, we could look at the numbers from when we were doing Columbus runs to see how much we were getting on some of those runs. So maybe we can have them look at that before the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
That would be awesome. So get a couple, if you can, just send a couple dates to me.
Yeah.
Everybody on your committee, come up with those. I can do whenever. I mean, I'll make arrangements to do whatever, but if I find out from Kim certain days that work better for her, I'll send those to you tonight. That way you kind of know where to start.
We need her,
Exactly. So
I'll
send her a message right now, just letting her know, just finding out what days work best while we continue. And if I get an answer, I'll let you know.
I'm always free, and since it's summer, I can do daytime meetings since I'm on summer break.
Yeah, I think that there's 2 days that are better for Kim than others, and I think Mondays are like a really hard day for her. Okay. Oh, sorry. You guys are waiting for me. Streets, Councilman Benedetti. Do you have anything, or do you want me?
Didn't you give Mike's report? I think that's about.
Oh, I got more. You know I always have more. Okay.
Because I'm not.
It's not a lot. Streets bid. You guys quit laughing. Streets bid is out, and the leaf bid is out. I expect them back on the 15th. We did advertise those. We did everything. They're expected back the 15th. Hoping to have the first reading on the 22nd. So sometime between the 15th and maybe we could even use a few minutes of the work session or whatever to go over the bids. I don't know that you guys really want to do that, or we can have an additional streets meeting some point in time that week to pick the winner for the trash bid and the leaf bid. So those should be in next week, and we'll see where we're at with those. And no, I don't have any yet. So just an FYI.
Wait a minute, now I'm remembering one thing. You had mentioned something about a price that you had gotten for repair on at Elmhurst.
$2,700.
And
I didn't do anything
isn't
with
that the
it.
one that I already did though? That's what I'm getting.
No,
at.
that's the other one. I think there's
Where's that
at the other end of Elmhurst, I guess. Didn't you say you did one at one end?
There's two of them. One of them is probably the major
Did you
one.
fix one? Hang
I
on.
fixed one
I
of
got
them.
it. Hang on.
Which is probably the $2,700 one.
And I can forward it. I have all these. If I forwarded you guys all the emails, oh, and don't. Okay, I'm going to use this as parts of the streets meeting. I got another thing too.
That's another good example about the value of having a maintenance guy that can do basic stuff, because that cost me $6.50 and they wanted $2,400 as well.
Yeah, this is not the one down at
The corner,
Wildwood. This is the one at Woodley and Elmhurst.
Woodley and Elmhurst. They want how much for that?
2,700.
I haven't fixed that one yet. No, but that one's another $650. All right. Okay. Moving
Okay.
forward.
I haven't done anything. Okay. Wow. John. Hang on. I get updates all this whole meeting. Okay, so let's go back to our meeting. Mondays and Tuesdays are best, Diane.
Okay.
And then I did see a Facebook post a little bit ago, so I know I'm in streets, so I'm just going to act like this is part of streets, and maybe it is. If it's not, sorry, it is now. Mosquito spraying. Here is the update for mosquito season update. Spraying has begun. I wanted to reach out with a few reminders and updates as we're seeing high numbers of mosquitoes in some areas. I'm going to forward all of this to you guys here in a little bit, because there's a lot of links that you can click on and you can actually see what is being trapped in our traps. I'm not going over all of this for you guys. And I'm also going to see if I can get Becky to post some of this stuff online tomorrow so residents can actually go and see them as well. But basically, the quick version is spraying. Our first spray of the season are scheduled for tonight for the high numbered nuisance floodwater species that were caught in the CDC traps. If we determine we need to spray in your area, she is going to reach out to me and then we will confirm a proposed date. FYI, we don't have any. So we do have some that have been trapped, but we do not have any issues. We do not have any problems. And as of right now, we are not being sprayed. So just as an FYI. So for the person that was asking on Facebook earlier today, I do not know if there is an opt-out system in this. I'm going to be completely honest. I will have to find out if there is. And maybe they don't realize that the only, I'm going to say something that's really not nice here. And you guys know I always do this, but my view is if they find something in our village that needs to be taken care of, West Nile virus or something like that, I don't feel like we should be allowing people to opt out if there is a health concern. I know that people do want to, and I'm not saying that we won't, because if it's something that they should be able to do, then I'm wrong. So I don't know how it works. I don't know if Franklin County does still let them opt out. I know this is a different system. I know that I don't have a way to track it and let people opt out, but I'm going to have all of this posted. I'm not going to go crazy in all of this. This is all going to be posted. You guys can see it. But I'm going to forward all of this to you guys right now. But at this time, we do not have any scheduled sprayings.
As I recall, there was a way to, the Franklin County program had a way to opt out.
I thought so too, but I don't know if this is the same program that they have done, is what I mean.
If you go to the Franklin, if you go to the Franklin County, it's actually mosquito.myfcph.org.
Can you opt out?
Yeah, there is a request, a do not spray request, and it's a simple form to fill out.
Perfect. So that's what people can do if they choose to do so. More power to them. But again, I just want to remind everybody that we are not spraying just to spray, which is what most residents requested. And we are doing that. So the only way that the village is going to spray, because again, it costs money. The only way that we're going to spray is if it's necessary. Simple as that. And that has been sent to all of you guys. Okay, next is communications.
We have reached a turning point in communications, and first off, I think we should schedule a meeting. But the turning point is that we've reached a point where things are starting to mushroom as a result of the website coming online. Brian Wolf brought up an idea of some text blasting. And so I was reading what he had written, and I was a little confused because I thought when we had talked about text blasting before, that was in association with our website, the one that you and Becky are using. But
They
that's
have an
not,
option as well.
yeah.
I believe.
So I wasn't certain, maybe Brian could speak up on it, exactly what we would do, just have a separate messaging service. But this brings up the turning point, which is we don't know what the messages are. And before people want to oversimplify this, it's a major thing that I think we need to determine. Part of it is, now what is it in any kind of messaging and altogether that the village wants to message? There's got to be some overall theme, and there's got to be certain things that are prohibited. I had sent an article out on government communications to everybody a couple of weeks ago, and in there's a section on this exact topic, and I think it treats it very well in terms of whether they be blast messages, text messages, emails. But I think communications, we need to sit down and figure out, what are we and what are we not?
This is an easy one as far as this goes. This was brought up. We had a couple instances on Wildwood where we were doing a streets project, and long story short, I think we posted it 100 times. Anytime that there is a large project going on and you need to notify residents to close their toilet lids, if we had a system other than Facebook, and I see Brian laughing, but it's the truth, because they were flushing the lines and it was spewing water out everybody's toilets. People were being notified on their front door, but not everybody goes through their front door. Some people go in their garage door, and the notices are sitting out front, and one after another was calling in to Lynn to complain. And then of course I got them all because they weren't aware of the project, because Brian normally says, I hate to say this, but at some point it is, homeowners' responsibility when you see big, huge trucks and you're trying to figure out what's going on, go to the village website, go somewhere. But again, there are times in which being able to do an email blast or a text blast, it would have been great over the last weekend to be able to put that, hey, there's a residence day at the pool. It's open.
Well, I think it's great
capability.
myself. I don't want a misunderstanding that I don't think it's great. What I was bringing up was I was a little confused exactly how that would work. Us as a committee, and yet the blasting would be done through the website in the administration building, right?
Well,
who decides what gets blasted? And I understand about village business. What's going on is at the same time we're ready to actually do something with this, that there's things about certain things that some people might describe as private messaging, wanting to put it on the village system.
The only people that would have access to it would be people that are posting important information that are business related. Nobody's going to be posting, that there's, whatever. It's nothing different than the Nixle system that the police department uses. They probably use it 4 times a year. They use it in an emergency. We would not be sending out a text that basically says, hey, Brenda's having a party at 123 Maplewood. It's not going to happen. It's not being used for that. It's being used for road closures. It would be used for, and honestly, it would be, I think Diane would be the perfect person to do something like this. She would set up the rules for it. This is what it's for. This is who can post. This is who has access to it. I'm sure I don't have access to Chief's Nixle, as I shouldn't. So I'm assuming not all of the officers do. I'm certain that they probably reach out to one or two people that have access to being able to do it. So you're correct. Not everybody is going to have access to it. It would be a government function. So whether or not we would, have you as the chair or all three of you. I mean, there would be rules. I think that's the biggest thing. You guys are going to have to set the rules as to how it is. That's something that we would take up in the communication committee and determine how it works, who needs to do it. I think it's one of the missing links that we have. I think it's one of the most important things that we need to get moving on in that personally, in that particular committee, because I think it's something that has been long awaited for. So I think it's just a matter of figuring out what company suits our needs the best, and you guys setting up rules for it and determining these are the guidelines of what it can be used for.
Well, yes, and I agree. And on a more macro level, we don't have, I mean, there's certain things that should be taken into account on any kind of messaging that we do in any format. And we don't really know what those are. Nobody's really sat down and identified what do we want to project as our image of Minerva Park to the outside world. I think we need to do that. I think we need to discuss this.
I don't think you're wrong in one aspect, because here's what I would say. I post things about food trucks. I post things about what's going on in village business. I post things about the pool. I post things about, David's posting things about, what's going on in the lake cleanup and all of these things. You're right. People may get a text message that doesn't necessarily apply to them. And guess what? You scroll past it or ignore it, or at least you know what's going on. You would only sign up for those blasts if it's something that you're interested in. So again, it would be for a current event or, something, an emergency type situation or something along those lines. That's the only thing it would be used for.
I'm not describing it well, I guess, because I'm talking about the bigger picture view of we've never sat down, as a government and tried to identify, what we are and who we are. And
if I could for a second try to chime in here for a second, because this is a new committee. The communications committee is new, and we're trying to figure out exactly what their role is. And I think what I was getting at is that I think once the website has been put together, then I think the communication committee can get together and start talking about the content of what it is that we're going to be putting under the website, how we're going to deal with the text blasting, all those types of policies is the stuff that because I was probably the person that brought up, creating the communications committee. And my vision was, or what I had envisioned was to, like I had said, have a group that decides how we go about communicating with the village and what, to a certain degree, that they're going to communicate to the village. And I think this is what Joe's,
Yeah, that's exactly part of it. But there's even another part, and that is that, we're doubling in size as a community. So there's obviously, who knows what, there's going to be some kind of additional business that we end up having to do with the bigger size. Well, some of that may be communications with outside government agencies, whether it be Franklin County or Westerville Schools or whoever it is, And so, they call it a mission statement, I suppose. We don't really have one, but typically government communications stick solely to information that they want to communicate to the public, or the public wants communicated to them. In other words, you don't get into champion causes or advertising for this or that or the other thing. That's what I'm saying. So
that's where the committee gets together and decides what it is they do want to champion.
Right. Well, I think we should. What I'm saying is, I think that would be really good if we do that, and the more the merrier. It doesn't have to just be the communications committee; it can be everybody that, if they want to have some say in that. But I think the text blasting is a great idea.
I can understand your, feeling like you need to be doing something, or that we're, not doing what we should as a communications committee. But, I think the first step, like I said before, was that once we get the website set up, then we'll be able to start moving, be able to plan the different parts of it.
Right.
A little bit. So it's coming, Joe, I think.
It's coming.
I think the thing that one of the things Joe's thinking of is in business marketing. In business, the marketing department usually sets the tone, and if in a small business, especially, you have to be very careful because a new employee comes on board and they put a signature on their email that is inappropriate because there's no standard. And they're sending out emails to your customers or vendors saying, something really not appropriate. And so it's, you just, and also a number of companies put their mission, their vision, or some kind of slogan, depending on the type of business they are, on their email signature. So same thing with, you want to have a theme and then follow the theme. The only theme that I've seen the village have is what was picked was a green tree. And so that's the only thing I've seen so far.
Well, that's one of the big things we identify as. We have lots of trees here.
Well, certain people, okay, so I don't know that people make a lot of assumptions because, a tree means something. The green tree outline stencil means something to some people, may mean something totally different to someone else. And this is really getting into the weeds of communication community, but I agree. If you wait till the website is done, that's fine. But, I hope that, we're talking about the base page of the front page of the website, and it should have a theme there. So if the current administration wants to be the one to do a theme, or maybe the theme is missing, but once that front page is constructed and everything is pasted out on the page, there won't be as much of an opportunity to have an opinion on a theme.
It's hard to change the front page.
It's kind of like, how do we identify ourselves? If we had to describe ourselves to someone else.
Okay, as far as the website goes, there's going to be one main picture and the rest are pretty much words of which tabs to go to. If you want to add logos, change logos, different things like that. If you want to add a mission statement, do anything like that, that's going to be easily changeable and accessible. Becky did ask me whether or not anybody had any interest in changing the logo and having a designer actually do it. We did reach out to someone, and we've not gone any further. If that's something that the communication committee is interested in and, wants to look at something like that, it's going to cost money. Or if somebody wants to design it or do anything. So, here's how I'm going to say this. We're working with what we have without spending additional money. I'm not sure, what vision everybody has other than a main picture on a website, because most websites for a municipality is going to have your basic, tabs at the top, tabs at the bottom, that type of thing. So, there's going to be a village picture that is going to stick out. We didn't do a custom website. So I guess I want to make sure everybody's completely clear about what we've paid for. We have paid for a website that's interchangeable, that will be easily changed. We are doing the basic things that can be adjusted in the event that we want to adjust. And again, we've asked for high definition pictures. We've gotten some pictures, but again, we're not changing the logo. We don't have a mission statement. We don't have any of that stuff. So communication committee is more than welcome to work on some of those things. Bring it to Becky, and we would be more than happy to get some of that stuff on there. But at the current time, we don't have anything.
But what I was saying bigger than that, and I'll conclude with this, is that, when we do any kind of messaging, we should have an idea, what we're doing or not. For example, the article, which I think is an excellent one from administration manual, government administration manual, federal, that I sent out, they discuss in there, what kind of information is appropriate for a government to want to put out. At the same time, the public expresses oftentimes their idea of what information it is that they want. And typically it's always restrained to only government business. In other words, political messages, personal messages, usually are not included in government communication.
Right. I guess, I guess maybe I'm still not missing. We'll move on to another topic, but like I said, the only thing I want the nixle for and the email for, and maybe I'm taking all of this completely wrong, is I'm not trying to send out messages of Brenda's having a party down the street or what I'm doing tomorrow for dinner. These messages are strictly going to be, put your toilet seat down, swimming pool's open, that type of thing. That's what I'm looking for. And don't look at me. I said that because of the street project. So it's basically, I'm not looking to send messages daily. I mean, we're talking that this particular thing is going to be used for, there's a food truck in the village, there's this going on. It's not going to be used as a daily, like we have a meeting tonight and it costs money to send out more than X amount of texts. So we're not, and again, this is just something that we're trying to do is basic like we normally do. But it's to get the message out for people that are not on Facebook. That has been our biggest request for people. I'm not on Facebook. I didn't know to shut my toilet seat. I know I keep saying the same thing, but that was the Wildwood issue that we had numerous times. And it came from a resident. We've heard it before. You guys need a text blast like the police department. So because you have the ability to sign up for it, you have to understand if residents don't want to know and they don't want to sign up, they don't have to. They have the ability to opt out at any time. So there's really, I think, for me, sometimes I feel like we're trying to invent this big, huge thing. It's not. This is as simple as possible. People want to sign up. They don't. I just want to tell them, hey, there's a food truck. Or Diane may want to say, there's something going on with this, but it would only be business related. We're not talking about personal events, and there would never be a time and a place for that. It would be only current events going on in the village that I would typically post on Facebook. That's all I'm personally interested in it for. Maybe other people have a different vision. I don't know, but I'm not trying to text out a vision statement.
Yeah, no, that's all it should be used for. Just like all the school districts, you can sign up.
No school today.
So you get a text alert when there's a snow day, or a text alert when there's an early dismissal, or when, after school things are closed. And yeah, that's all it would be. Pool's open. Work on this, work on that. Done.
So, but yeah, I think there's a lot communication committee can continue to work on. I think that, that for me is one thing that I have wanted for a long time, and everybody knows that. So watching Diane and Brian and Joe work on that is thrilling. I'm super excited that they're working on it. So anything else for communication? So we've still got like 30 more minutes of stuff to go through. Anybody else? All right, safety, Brian Wolf.
Hello, Safety Committee had a meeting immediately preceding this council session. We discussed our ongoing efforts of discussing with the City of Columbus Fire, engaging their services or possibly the need to pay for their services to provide fire. We did develop a two-pronged approach wherein we are hoping that Chief Hochstetter can talk to the new interim fire chief at City of Columbus so that we can return to our former status quo, but also discussed further negotiation tactics. And we will engage both those prongs, and I will let you know where we land from there. And that's it for Safety Committee.
Perfect. Anybody have any questions for him? Going once, going twice? All right, legislation.
Okay, we have not met since last council meeting, so there's no new movement on that. I believe Eric did mention that they are working on finalizing, or not finalizing the next draft, how about I put it that way, of an ordinance for sidewalks. That will be our next big thing. According to the agenda, we have about 5 legislations to read in tonight. It looks like 2 of those might need to be passed as an emergency, and I would give justification for that, or allow Mayor Hughes to give justification for that when we get to them. And that's about it.
So into legislation we go.
So
All right.
speaking of which,
I'm sorry. Anybody's got any questions?
all right, anyone? All right, so, and bear with me, I don't have paper, so I'm scrolling through all this to find it, and some of these are pretty long. Here we go then. First one, second reading of Resolution 2020-15, resolution to adopt the tax budget for the Village of Minerva Park, Ohio for the year beginning January 1st, 2021, and to submit the same to the Franklin County Budget Commission. This is just the second reading, so no action is needed. I would point out that there will be a tax budget meeting on this next Monday at 6:30. I don't know, I mean, I know it's going to be live on Facebook. I don't know if there's going to be a way for people to chime in, because I believe this is something that we have to have, are supposed to have public comments on. Is that correct?
Yeah, I can watch while she's doing that next week. I will be able to watch, or we can set somebody else up to watch it. All we have to do is go to the Facebook stream and we can watch any questions that come through, and
Awesome.
we can announce those live. Yes.
And just a reminder, everyone, this is not the village budget. This is just our projected, oh, we think we're going to bring in this much money in taxes, and telling the county that's what we think is going to happen. And then there's a whole bunch of financial pages that I need to scroll through. Okay, nope, still finances. Now, are these finances then available to people on the website? Can they just see all the pages I'm seeing?
These packages are available online, yes.
Awesome.
Just as you see them.
Okay, resolution 2020-16. A resolution pursuant to declaring the necessity for and submitting the question of a renewal tax levy for the purposes of providing for the current expenses of the general fund of the Village of Minerva Park. You guys remember last meeting, we passed as an emergency to send our intent to do this to the county. We are now then in sort of regular order, and this is the first reading that we plan to put that on. It is a replacement of a renewal of an existing 4 mil levy, which is currently in effect and scheduled to drop off. And also first reading, 2020-17, a resolution to proceed with placing the issue on the ballot for a renewal tax levy. I guess the first one is just our declaration of need. The second one, this 2020-17, is the actual, and we're going to do it. Is that correct?
Correct.
Awesome.
And could you also point out that we are not putting the other 1.9 mil?
Yes, thank you. There's actually 2 levies that are expiring, one for 4 mil, one for 1.9, and we are going to let the 1.9 one just fall away and try to pass or put on the ballot, and hopefully our residents will pass the 4 mil renewal.
Perfect.
Okay.
Now the fun.
Now the fun one. Oh, I almost went by it because there it is, 2020-18. Oh, where's my heading on that? Okay, 2020-18, which I believe we're going to try to waive readings and pass as emergency. Is that correct, as it's written?
Jesse's still on here. That's correct, Jesse, right? I think we needed to in order to get it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so as everyone knows, coronavirus hit, lots of things happened. That has cost the village some money, even just in extra cleaning supplies and materials, plexiglass dividers, what have you. This is a resolution 2020-18 that we need to pass so that we can get some portion of the Federal CARES Act money to offset some of our expenditures. As I understand it, that's just what it is. I'm seeing Jesse nod his head yes, so I guess I summarized it correctly. So I am going to move that we waive readings.
Second.
Boom, look at me getting in order and doing it right.
All right.
Did anybody break down any additional costs COVID has really kind of laid on the EMS? Did we need to purchase a lot of stuff for that? I'm just curious.
I believe so, and that's one of the reasons we're applying
Hang
for
on,
some of
Rick.
this money is to cover
Right.
that.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually,
Rick, see if you-
You can answer that question.
Sorry, go ahead.
we
We applied to FEMA for some supplies and they supplied them.
we're in pretty good shape right now. And
You've got a pretty significant echo, sir.
I fixed it. Anyway, we applied to FEMA for some supplies and they delivered them, and we're working through them. So far, about the only thing we've purchased outside the FEMA is a new infrared thermometer. It was about $80. So we could apply for that, but we really haven't had to spend that much more money because FEMA really helped.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you, Rick.
Information. So yeah, it has been moved and seconded. Mayor Hughes, if you would like to call the roll or call the vote.
Hang on. Tony is the second first.
Yep.
I'm trying, Becky. I did this the last time and then I forgot to take it into her. So it still didn't do us any good. All right, Councilman Curl.
Aye.
Council President Trimp.
Aye.
Councilman Benedetti.
Aye.
Councilman Wolf.
Aye.
Councilman Bruger.
Aye.
And Councilman McNamara.
Aye.
All right.
Okay, so we have waived additional meetings of Resolution 2020-18. I now move that we pass it as an emergency to take effect immediately.
Second.
Second. All right. And Councilman McNamara.
Aye.
Councilman
There are
Bruger.
so many emergencies these days.
Yes. I'm going
They're
to say
to get
aye.
money. I think it's okay when you're getting money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm going to say aye and hope that no one is upset that we're in a hurry to get money.
Councilman Wolf.
Aye.
Councilman Benedetti.
Aye.
Council President Trump.
Aye.
And Councilman Curl.
Aye.
When you have a deadline to get money from the government, you got to do what you got to do.
Let's say, David, I scream the loudest and the longest about doing emergencies, and I hate to say, you'll get used to it.
Well,
Well, there just seem to be
let's
so
hope
many.
they're in the second round of COVID or West Nile and the traps.
I mean, there just seems to be so many reasons, and
You're
they all
right.
were legitimate this year. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
There often is. It's something that sometimes just needs to be done. It's not necessarily underhanded or nefarious. It's just, scheduling and time and have to do it. Okay, speaking of which, let's move on to, where's the number on this?
2020-19.
2020-19. Hey, it's just the next number. I should have probably got that on my own. This is there. I can see it in the top corner. A resolution amending Resolution 2020-04, setting the fees for membership, day passes, and pool rental for the Minerva Park for the 2020 summer session and declaring it an emergency. I do not have the two side by side. Mayor Hughes, are you familiar with the changes from what it
Yes.
was to now and could give us a description?
The only thing that we did is change the $5 to $9. I actually did not take out, and we added the time slot. So it actually says, if you look at it, it says $9 per time slot. I did not make that specific. And the reason that we did not make it specific, which Jesse doesn't know this, but we're hoping that eventually we can get down to 2 time slots that people can come for longer periods of time financially. And honestly, it is still a financial thing. So we really are in hopes that we can just do 2 time slots, not 3, give people more time. So it just says time slots.
Okay. I have a question on section 4. It says day passes 1 to 3 years and then a $sign and then free.
Yeah, 1 to 3 years old is free.
Oh, day pass 1 to 3. Okay, that refers to the age of the child.
Yes.
That was not, I believe, clear here. But okay. And I assume we're needing to pass this as an emergency since we've already started the pool thing. and no one wants me to show up after 5 and say, here's my $5, I'm a resident, let me in.
Correct. So here's where I would give you guys your free
Always
pass. You
coming
guys,
from my wallet.
yeah, you guys don't want to pass it as an emergency and you want to waive the 3 readings, and in about August, we can start charging $9. So that's your choice. It's true.
All right, yep.
So,
Oh, go ahead,
Feedback
Dave.
are we get? Are people grumpy about $9, or do they? There seems to be a kind of a spirit of helpfulness in the community here lately.
I think people would pay
Memberships are up.
$20.
I think originally it was, and it had been done in past years, there was a resident only $5 after 5. That if you're just going to be there for the last 2 hours of the day, we would give you a break on the $9 since you're missing most of the day. And this, we're changing that due to the restrictions, and that's why we just need to take that out, mostly because I said it's in legislation and we can't change it unless we change it with legislation, because I
was just curious if there were complaints about the $9 fee.
We
Yes, I thought
actually
it was
haven't had a
expensive.
complaint for anything yet.
Well, that's great news.
Yes.
yeah, people are just happy we're trying and we're open. We
Yes.
all should be patting ourselves on the back for even opening where so
Well-
many others didn't even attempt.
Mhm.
Wasn't easy for anybody, was it? Especially you, Mayor Hughes.
Takes a team. We got it done.
I'm just saying, I remember going to the pool, going to Tremont Pool when I was a kid on my bike, and it was just 50 cents to get in.
Well, I went to the state fair and we went to the railroad tracks and jumped over the fence.
All right, let's get this done. It's
So I think
bedtime.
we will move on here so we can get through this. I move that we waive readings on this 2020-19. And
Second.
Councilman seconds.
Okay. Councilman McNamara,
Aye.
Ruger,
Aye.
Councilman Curl,
Aye.
Councilman Benedetti,
Aye.
Shrimp, Council President Shrimp,
Aye.
and Councilman Wolf.
Aye.
All right.
All right, we have waived the readings. I now motion that we pass this as an emergency.
Second.
It has been seconded.
All right. Councilman Wolf,
Aye.
Council President Shrimp,
Aye.
Councilman Benedetti,
Aye.
Councilman Curl,
Aye.
Councilman McNamara,
Aye.
Councilman Bruger.
Aye.
All right.
All right, no more $5 footlongs.
And honestly, I'm going to print that out and take it down to the pool. That way John has no issues.
And David, you can vote no on 4 or 5 of us already, and it doesn't really affect anything, and it'll make you feel better.
Don't tell him that. Then he'll know.
Let him vote
The thing
last.
is, I remember that I was one of the people who suggested that we did it legislatively, so we'd have to change it legislatively. So I'm not gonna throw a wrench in something that I helped cause.
All right. Let's
Unless
go.
ends Legislation.
Perfect. New business. I am told. Rick's got some new business. See if he's on
Thank you,
here.
Mayor. We were contacted by a resident who's going to be closing in the next 90 days who has a special needs child. And they shared his care plan with us, and we're going to be putting together an in-service for our department. We're going to invite Columbus to join as well as Westville. It's going to be a WebEx to just review what procedures we would follow for the special needs child. They're moving from Westville to Minerva Park in the new section. And they, as they said, they are frequent flyers because they have a care plan, but when it doesn't work for any reason, they call AMS. And so if anybody's interested in joining the WebExes, I'd be glad to send invitations as soon as we have them.
I'd take one.
All right.
I'll have to talk to Camille on that one, Rick.
Okay.
Sounds
Okay. Any more new business?
I suppose the thing that I sent out to you guys would be a probably an appropriate thing for new business. Like, what would the next things be with that?
Here's all I'm gonna say. I mean, I would love more of a census of what some of the other, we did hear from a couple people over the weekend, and I don't know if anybody else wants to respond to it. We're talking about the June 1st declaration, I guess is what we're gonna call it. I know Westerville's done more of a resolution. There's a couple different ways to do it, obviously. You know, I do also have similar concerns that Tony has, because we have a large issue with following through and remembering what we did the year before and making sure that things actually happened. I think it would be a little bit of a smack in the face to pass something that we're, you know, I'm trying not to say the wrong thing here. If we're going to do something, it needs to be done the right way, and it needs to be that everybody's on board, and it needs to be me declaring a certain day for something. You know, I'm only going to be here for 4 years. I want to make sure that this is something that, you know, council's really on board with, and people are going to take this seriously every single year. So to pass a certain day, to be a certain, you know, we're going to declare this particular day and not remember next year that we did it. And I don't know, you know, if Mark or Brian or anybody has anything to say, but that is something that I want to make sure that everybody realizes that
I would say
this is
that
something that everybody's in favor of doing. If
I
not, I
understand.
think, well, and I guess maybe there's other avenues to doing it, is not declaring a specific day, but declaring a specific statement or something like what many other communities have done. So I know that Chief had written something. I know MPCA is doing, you know, has been in discussions of, because I've been on those chains, you know, they're in discussions of doing different things. So I guess I just don't want to do it quickly and not the right way. So I think we have a fear
I
of,
agree with that.
I don't want to declare a certain day and next year comes June 5th and we were like, oh yeah, remember June 1st, second year in a row that we didn't really do anything for. So that to me is a smack in the face. I don't want to declare something and I'm not saying that I'm not going to take it seriously, but it's something that I think we need to really think about what we're saying that we're going to do. And not just me saying it. I mean, I have to rely on a community to.
This is the kind of thing that ought to be in the communications committee, I think.
No, I think
Exactly.
I think that you know, usually with declarations, it's there's a citizen or there's a community group or there's an association who's running whatever it is they're going to run, and all you're doing is doing them a favor by advertising your affirmation. So that's much better. It would be better if I'm sure there would be residents or an organization that could, you know, be in charge, but making it a resolution or an ordinance, especially for a small village, you know, those are more permanent things. Those are more permanent, long-term. They're supposed to be long-lasting. So I don't think we should do that. I think we should keep it as a declaration.
This is what I was getting at in the communications part of the meeting when I was talking about messaging. Well, you know, my heart goes out to David's cause, but I don't see that that's really government business in any way. Myself, and we haven't determined what we want to do.
I would say that I love the spirit of what David's talking about here. And I think it is important for the village to declare our, you know, I wouldn't call it a celebration.
Support. I think we should declare our support. And then if there's some sort of monetary thing that goes along with that, if they ask us for some assistance and preparing a celebration, but I just think
we say it at every meeting, with liberty and justice for all. That's all. That's everybody.
So what I'm hearing is that we're afraid to make this proclamation because we're afraid we won't follow up.
A proclamation doesn't have to. It's not. It's just a one. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't quite done there,
sorry.
but thanks. right? We are the only people who can follow up on it. So
I'd be more than
if-
happy to.
yeah, you know, even if I weren't on this body, I would be glad to make certain that this gets followed up on. Right? That if we can move forward saying that June 1st is the day that we celebrate diversity in the way, you know, in all the ways that we need to celebrate, that diversity needs to be celebrated, right? Then, you know, preparing what that is each year, you know, shouldn't fall solely on this body, right? There should be a calling out for help. You'll notice that, you know, what we had as a demonstration protest was not super organized, right? Meaning that there wasn't a lot that went into that, but it was still amazingly powerful. And, you know, all it takes is a couple of volunteers who can put together something even just of that quality to get the job done. And I don't feel that that is onerous. And the only real argument I've heard against moving forward is that we're afraid that we can't follow through. Well,
no,
the only people who can change that is us.
Now that
I
you
could add to that.
hold on, let me now that you say that, it brings up more things that you can't even define what diversity is, you know, and what is it that we're celebrating? I mean,
That is actually clearly written in the suggested resolution / proclamation. Something that will also be seen is that nothing is demanded as a government function, more or less. It's encouragement. I mean, the way I visualize it, we can have a commemoratory Facebook post or something in the newsletter, just a little commemoratory statement in the newsletter come June. I think this is being worried about as a larger issue from an implementation standpoint than it may end up being.
Well, I think on the larger issue, it can be interpreted by at least some people, if not a lot of people, as it's the government messaging the community what to think and feel about something, and more or less a way of speaking. In other words, we're declaring a holiday and they're supposed to follow. We don't know what the community has to say about this. Do they want us making the holidays for them? I don't know if they do or not.
I think that might be a little overstating, saying that we're declaring a holiday.
Well, a day of
I think we're just sort of saying like, hey, we as a village government respect, encourage, and we are a very diverse village. As far as follow-up, I would agree with Councilman Wolf that we're not going to necessarily have to follow up on this. There are more than enough volunteers and people in this neighborhood who are going to be more than happy to put something together every year.
And the way I wrote it, I also heard on the email thread that it, again, I'm not saying that it was accused of having an anti-law enforcement or anti anything bias. I wrote it to be as apolitical and as celebratory as possible, but I don't think that would be a big issue either.
Well, it is political in nature because it's not government business. But I'm just saying that as a fact. But I kind of agree with Diane, and you know, it's my heart goes out to the cause. But it seems to me like there'd be a much more appropriate place or organization, you know, to be making such proclamations. And if there's to be a holiday, I think the governor and the president decide things like that.
Again, a holiday is nowhere mentioned, but that I think we may somewhat overstated.
Yeah.
Well,
I think there's
it's the fact that the government, to me, it's the fact that the government's communicating a non-government item, as you know, and without, it's not something that the community is asking us to do.
I disagree with that. I think we had 200 people standing outside in front of the community building asking us to do this.
Yeah, I believe that's true. The community is asking us to let them know where we're at on this topic. Yeah.
And America is crying out everywhere for statements, for
But 99
help.
out of 100 people are in favor of the cause, David. Now,
Well, I would argue that there's more than 100 people in favor of the cause.
No, he
but-
said
I
99
said
out of 100.
99 out of
Oh, okay.
It was a rate. No.
Ah.
Okay,
and as-
can I,
I think
oh,
we-
go ahead, Brian.
this needs
Brian,
to go to
you,
committee. This
I
needs-
just want to make it clear, my issue isn't about the message. Disagree with the message.
we
What
have,
So I would say if we want to bring this to an end, it's written as a resolution, right? That resolution should go to the legislative committee. Further debate can happen there, and the legislative committee can put this forward for readings and a vote or not. Does that sound like an appropriate way to handle this?
Diane and Mayor both
Written
said
as a resolution or as a declaration?
It is written as a resolution.
Diane and the mayor both said they thought it should go to communications committee, which would be you and Diane and me, Brian.
Yeah. Well,
anybody could come, of course.
I actually
guys-
don't think it belongs in communication. So there's
Well,
that.
I don't think it does either.
It's a major communication. How would it not
No.
belong?
Does it
You're
belong there?
communicating something to everybody.
okay, everybody, whoop, okay. Jesse, do you want to weigh in for 2 seconds, just whether or not, I don't want a statement should be more of a proclamation, should this be, again, I've seen it done numerous ways. What would you recommend? Is there a recommendation? Is it solely what we would choose to do? I know you haven't seen it, so it does look as if it's currently written as a resolution. I would agree with him on that. It's whether or not, what are your thoughts? And maybe we can take this to next Monday night's meeting. Just again, we're pushing 9 o'clock right now.
Sure, and I think that's probably smart. Let's kick it a week. But I do think if you were looking at it from the outside, if it came across as a resolution, it would come more so as from the entire council, whereas if it was a declaration, it might seem to come from an administration standpoint. So just some messaging on that, how you want it to look is where it's coming from is probably the only consideration. Other than that, I don't see any real difference.
Okay.
Well, sometimes perception's a lot of something.
Oh, my God.
All right, so does anybody, this is a hot topic, so I do not want to throw it to the wind. So does anybody want to continue to decide on, obviously we're not voting for anything or doing anything at this point in time. Is everybody okay moving this to talk to it? Or on Monday, do you guys want to push this to legislative? What
I
are
would
your
be
guys'
heavily in
thoughts?
favor of so.
Which way?
Well,
I would be heavily in favor of sending to legislation for consideration as passage as a resolution.
Okay, you would prefer it to be a resolution, not a declaration
Well, I'd like
or
to
a
get it.
proclamation.
I'd prefer that we get it done in a reasonable amount of time while strike while the iron is hot. Make people know,
Strike
let
while
people
the
know
iron
where
is
we
hot.
stand.
we're a government. We're supposed to strike.
No,
while
it's a
the-
phrase.
Who
Strike
are
while
we
the iron is
striking?
hot.
Okay,
It's an old
so
smithing
let's-
phrase I read somewhere.
let's go ahead and focus it to legislation. In the event that we want to bring it back up on the 15th, if you guys feel like this is a hot topic that maybe we should really revisit on the 15th, you guys
Right.
could make that
Right.
your work session. So let's get moving on. If anybody has any more new business, and that's something, again, if anybody wants to send me, correspondence via email, feel free to. If I have any, I will do the same on that particular topic, and then, we can kind of go from there. But let's get any more new business. If not, we're going to old business.
Real quick, if that's going to get sent to legislation, I'm going to want to be scheduling a legislative meeting this week. So,
Do you want to do it this week, or do you want to do it your typical before the next meeting?
before the next meeting, we have the tax budget meeting.
No, I
So-
mean the one that you normally do. Do you want to keep that as your next standing legislation, or do you want to move it?
No. I mean, I don't know. I would, if we're gonna push this to legislation, I would like to have a meeting this week to do it. Whether that means it replaces the legislation meeting scheduled on the 22nd or not, that's fine with me.
Okay.
Either way, but I'd like to get it so legislation can.
Perfect.
I would like to have it sometime. I know this is tight for everyone, and I know we need 24 hours. I would want it Wednesday or Thursday, so.
No,
our
Wednesday.
Pardon?
Thursday, please.
Planning and zoning is Wednesday.
Okay, I would like to have it this Thursday. That way we could come up to a decision and I could get it to our wonderful administrative staff to have something ready for council on next Monday.
What time on Thursday?
What time works, people? I'm on vacation mode.
Anytime after 4 p.m.
What day did you say you'd like that to be, sir?
This
Thursday, the
Thursday.
11th. This Thursday.
This Thursday, after 4 p.m. would be okay. I work that evening, so I have to leave by 6, but I'll gladly attend.
5 o'clock, everybody? Anyone have a
Who's
problem
the-
with Thursday at 5?
Who's the
I have a
other
question for
I think-
Diane before we sign off.
Yeah, 5 o'clock is okay for me.
All right, Thursday at 5.
Diane, with all these resolutions going around and the subject matter of the lakes coming up tonight, I'd like to untable my resolution and get that in the mill also. Is there a problem doing that?
For legislation to work on it, I don't see any reason that they can't work on it at the same time if they're having a legislative meeting.
Yeah.
I
We
mean,
can
that's
put
up to
that
them.
that can be put on the agenda.
That'd be awesome.
Well, the thing was passed by everybody, including Eric and our counselor, but
Okay. So Joe, be there Thursday, 5 p.m. so you can have your 2 cents about the lake, because without you, we can't move forward with it since
no,
it's
it's not
your,
my 2 cents. The whole neighborhood.
but you represent the legislation. So if you're not there, it's difficult to put into words, which is why we've had to table it. We want to make sure that it's acceptable for you so we can move on with it as well. So
Okay.
to talk about it
Well, then I'd
Thursday.
like an explanation as to why the resolution 8 months ago was never prepared or ever presented.
Joe, you tabled it. You're the one who.
I tabled it 8 months after it was written when it was supposed to be passed and everyone approved it, including the staff, 2 weeks afterward.
I don't know
So
that
we
we,
got,
Okay.
we got pigeonholed. and
We're not going to go down this
It's a
rabbit hole right now. It's 9 o'clock
it's
at night.
because it was passed by everyone. So now it's be voted on again, eh?
Okay. We're not gonna start
I get the
screaming.
picture.
It's 9 o'clock at night. We all want off of here. So Joe, I have 0 issues doing it. I think if we're gonna bring all of these back up for these, I think Thursday night, 5 o'clock is the best thing. Hopefully we can get them both done and both written and both first reading on Monday, the 15th. So don't forget, we can start the readings right then and there if we could, like he says, get those done. So 5 o'clock Thursday, I will make sure that she gets that posted tomorrow and we will get that up and running. So does anybody have any old business? All right, good. Do we have a motion
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All right.
Aye.
Hi, guys.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.